Greetings and welcome back to room 303 in our chats with Emily. That's what we're calling our readings through the poetry of Emily Dickinson. We are using the Johnson edition, and we turn now to poem 326, I Cannot Dance Up on My Toes. Some call this Emily's greatest poem of genius, and I think there's a good reason for that. This poem exhibits in some way the life, the dynamism of Emily Dickinson and her attempts at understanding not just that she's writing poetry, but that she's doing something, as she will say, no one ever taught her to do. I think in some ways this is the argument that she'll be making, that her poetry is born of another place, and of course we call that genius. So sure, why not? Let's call this a poem of genius. Now, the poem was enclosed in a letter 271, as we call it today, to Thomas Higginson, who we've mentioned a number of times already in our conversations. And along with the following poem, 327, we see them together for that reason. She'll begin that letter by asking about both of the poems, this one and the one to follow. Quote, "Are these more orderly? I thank you for the truth. I have no monarch in my life and cannot rule myself, and when I try to organize, my little force explodes and leaves me bare and charged." It looks as if Higginson had suggested that maybe Emily's poems didn't have that kind of regular organization, we might say, that would be expected of a poet. And so in some ways, Emily will come back in this poem. It may be that Emily is in some ways teasing Higginson. That's possible. Now, our assumption, so that you've been following our stuff at learnstrong.net, down that left-hand side, Chats with Emily, our playlist, I'm really hopeful that you were able to work through our set of introductory comments, and I really am hopeful that you can place this poem in the context of the preceding 325 poems. We just finished with 325 of Tribulation, These Are They. Now, this is, again, a poem about poetry, and Emily seems to be doing this, where she'll often, it's almost like a meta-poetic kind of approach. I know I'm writing poetry. What exactly is it that I'm doing? She will compare her stuff to other poets, as we have seen in the past, and it at times looks as if she is, going to almost be uncertain about how she would make that comparison. The great biographer Wisher has pointed out that a scholar named Ford thought that some of the particular habits of Emily's later life originated in a suppressed and ungratified desire for poetic recognition, end quote. And I think we can certainly see this game being played here. Many see this poem as almost like a chat or a dialogue with T. Higginson. We called our series Chats with Emily for a reason such as this poem. One scholar has called this a, quote, dazzling display of varied footwork. We're going to obviously get to the whole notion of the motif of the dance. And we'll finish, actually, with T.S. Eliot in his classic At the Still Point of the Turning World in Burt Norton 2. I think he learned a lot from his study of this poem. "I cannot dance upon my toes, no man instructed me, but oftentimes among my mind a glee possesseth me, that had I ballot knowledge would put itself abroad, in pirouette to blanch a trope, or lay a prima mad. And though I had no gown of gauze, no ringlet to my hair, nor hoped to audiences like birds one claw upon the air, nor tossed my shape in eider balls, nor rolled on wheels of snow till I was out of sight and sound, the house encore me so. Nor any know I know the art, I mention easy here, nor any placard boast me, it's full as opera." Now, she makes an observation right at the beginning that she can't dance, which takes us back, of course, to poem 24. It is fascinating to run to ground the times that she mentions dancing in her poetry. Upon my toes, notice the focus on feet. And of course, think about feet and poetic feet and the rhythms of poetry. And obviously, you're seeing she's playing games. Guys, I've said this before. I think Emily is having a great time as she's writing so many of these poems. And I think here she is dancing with her language. I cannot dance upon my toes. And then she'll say it. no man instructed me. In other words, this is Emily as original. Nobody taught me how to do the thing I'm doing here. And obviously Dickinson, if he's made some suggestions to Emily about ways to improve her poetry, this is maybe Emily's soft pushback against that. I dance the way I dance, but she'll say it this way, even though I haven't been formally educated to write poetry, and it is fascinating, right, to ask. We said this when we did our study of Walt Whitman in Talks with Walt, where we did all the poetry of the deathbed edition of Leaves of Grass, all that at learnstrong.net as well. We said that about our study of Walt. It is fascinating how Emily and Walt have one thing in common, and that is neither of them were professionally trained to be a poet. They didn't come out of some, special program, writer's program and the like. No man instructed me, but oftentimes, she'll say it among my mind, a glee possesses me. Poem 257 will take you back to this word glee. And then from here she goes to the dance or the ballet. In other words, there comes this moment, she says, when a glee will take me over. Now, I don't think this is a throwaway line. I think, in fact, her word glee is specifically her referencing to the idea of the invocation of the muse from the ancient tradition, poetic tradition. I think glee here means inspiration. Possesseth me. I think that's also significant because Emily at times seems to suggest that these ideas that she's sharing with us, they just kind of come into her and possess her. Think about Socrates and his daimon, right? That idea that I'm not fully in control of what's going on here. In fact, some have even speculated that Emily might have struggled with some kind of epilepsy, some kind of fit that would come on her, and maybe she's referencing it here. What happens when she gets this glee that possesses her? It's that had I a ballet knowledge, that is the ability to write these kind of organized order types of poetry, would put itself abroad. In other words, if I could write as well as those professionals, I would maybe publish my stuff, put my stuff abroad. And then it would look in pirouette, to Blanche Troupe. By the way, pirouette only gets used once in her poetry. Troupe only gets used once. Orlea, prima, nad, all these words only get used once. All these dancing, all these ballet-related words. And though I had no gown of gauze, go back to poem 105, that is to say her tutu, although here we are now back to the idea that she dresses in white, right? We've said a number of times about that. No ringlet in my hair. Think about, you guys remember when we did Milton's Paradise Lost and we pointed out that for Milton so much of it is about hair. Hair has something to do with it. Emily's hair, that red hair, she says, if I could have my hair all beautied up, right? She says 5 times now with the nor hopped to audiences. This obviously, that what one scholar has called the pose of artificiality, right? She says, at one point she said it this way, quote, I haven't that confidence in fraud which many exercise, end quote. She said it in a letter to Dickinson. I think this is Emily's humor. She said, I wonder what it would be like if I could hop around like birds, one claw upon the air. The use of the word claw here is great, right? Because of course to claw one's way to greatness. Nor, she said, tossed my shape in eider balls. We'll see eider in 374 and 754. The down costume, right? Nor rolled on wheels of snow till I was out of sight and sound. The house encore me so. In other words, she imagines herself dancing in front of all of these people. Obviously, she's speculating on the notion of, I wonder what it would be like if I published my stuff, because I could write the way all of these important, gifted writers of my generation are capable of writing. Nor, she says, I know the art. Now, again, guys, this is brilliant, yes. Okay, in other words, it's almost like she's saying out loud, I know what I'm doing, and I know the game that I know, but no one else understands or knows the game that I know. Nor I know the art, dancing or writing, obviously. I mention easy here, notice here capitalized. In other words, I know what I'm doing. I can talk about it here easily. But boy, I don't think I could do that thing of dancing in front of everyone. She says, nor any placard boast, me, it's full as opera. The house being so full of people observing. She'll use opera, by the way, already in 161. We'll see it again in 326. It's the only other times that she uses opera. We commented on Whitman's love of opera. Here, Emily's making this observation that the opera house would be completely full of people for her performance. She says, oh, I could boast that I could have that tremendous acclaim. We think of Keats's, when I have fears that I may cease to be, that on the shore of the wide world I stand alone and think till love and fame to nothingness do sink. You'll remember that Keats put on his tombstone, here lies one whose name is writ in water, the fear of being forgotten. I think Emily shared something of that as well with Keats. What are we going to do with a poem like this at 2A? I think her argument is that the true artist always creates for herself. And there is no desire to conform. There is no desire to dance with one claw in the air for all of the observers. She says, I think, the true artist, the one that she was never taught to do this, it is that which possesses her. At 2B, well, the word picture of dancing is brilliant, from dancing to writing, and obviously playing around with toes and feet make all kind of sense. The rhythms of this one are fun. And at 3A, we mentioned 214, and the dance, I taste the liquor never brewed, right, inebriate of air. But I want to take us down to T.S. Eliot. Hey, you guys, I said a number of times in our conversations, I think T.S. Eliot was very influenced by his study and reading of Emily Dickinson, whether he admitted it or not. How about these lines from Bert Norton 2? At the still, we've given full lectures on all of the four quartets at learnstrong.net, and I very much recommend that you run them to ground if you've not done the study. At the still point, he says it this way. At the still point of the turning world, neither flesh nor fleshless, neither from nor towards, at the still point, there the dance is, but neither arrest nor movement. And do not call it fixity, where past and future are gathered, neither movement from nor towards, neither ascent nor decline, except for the point, the still point. There would be no dance, and there is only the dance. I can only say, there we have been, but I cannot say where, and I cannot say how long, for that is to place it in time. Finally, in 3B, what was a time that you danced? You felt possessed, but just for yourself. I hope that your study of Emily is challenging you. Thank you.